At the Fourth Academy of Sioux City, a platform stood amidst a crowd of students, positioned upon a mystical circle. Principal Shui Jinlong, standing on a podium, addressed the gathering with solemnity. On this significant day, he declared that they were about to embark on a journey into the inner world. As they stood within the enchanted arrangement, the system would unveil their designated class roles and abilities. Whether destined to be a skilled swordsman, a reliable knight, a stealthy assassin adept in the shadows, or a powerful magician, each student's fate hung on the whims of chance. In total, there were 4 primary courses awaiting them. Principal explained everything and wished the kids good luck because this test could shape their future. Then, he turned on the transfer thingy, and a bright blue light popped up from the magic circle the students were on. Qiao Yu was right there in the middle of that magic circle. Qiao Yu was just a regular student until he came back to Earth 18 years ago. Finally, the day he was waiting for had come. After he died, he ended up in a parallel universe called Kaiji Star, which was surprisingly similar to our world. But out of the blue, it crashed down to Earth, causing chaos. First, dungeons filled with monsters appeared, which was tough for normal people. Luckily, when people turned 18, they got superpowers through a transfer thingy to tackle these dungeons. The monsters in the dungeons leveled up by gaining experience, spending attribute 11 points like their own currency. Now, back to our hero. As soon as he activated the magic circle, he fell into another dimension. Then, a system voice told him to check his class. Without hesitation, he said, yes. His future was uncertain, so he hoped for a good grade. Inside, he was pretty scared. What a nerve-wracking moment. Once the loading process is complete, above the turquoise aura, a fiery skull with burning eyes and a gaping mouth materialized. The aura engulfed him like a raging inferno. Shortly after, the system acknowledged his achievement of acquiring the concealed class. He gazed at his energized physique with a mix of astonishment and understanding. His award of the concealed class Necromancer was solemnly announced by the system. In the next second after learning his grade, our protagonist's emotions overflowed, and he was unable to control his reactions when he heard this. Indeed, the Necromancer class was so uncommon that it could only be attained by a handful of individuals on Earth. With a single swing of his staff, this class's immense strength enabled him to call an army of first-class undead from the depths of hell. An army that he could command with an abundance of mana. He opted to check his attributes first after opening the status pane that showed all of his qualities. Getting a hidden class meant he had to be stronger than everyone else. It was there that he discovered his health was 10, defense was 6, agility was 6, and strength was 10. Unfortunately, the spirit quality our hero was hoping for was 0, much to his dismay and anguish. He snatched his head in terror, knelt down, and pondered how this could have happened, considering both the attribute points and the class itself were assigned at random, with a maximum of 10 points for a beginning. Furthermore, the spirit characteristic was vital for a wizard, and the question of how he was to battle without it remained a conundrum. The system contacted you when you were on your knees, sobbing in sorrow, and asked whether you would take the job based on your talent. Even if he were to obtain an S-level talent, the best it would be meaningless to him due to his poor spirit. So, you, who had already accepted his destiny as a failure, responded that he did. The following second, the talent hunt got underway. He was congratulated by the system and informed that he had gained a skill called Brave Heart of a Magician, which granted 10 points of characteristics. After a while, a blue aura resurfaced around him. There were 2 effects mentioned in the description. One was a passive skill that let the user gain attribute points when they physically attacked monsters, and the other was an active ability that let them raise the value of other attributes to the same level as a specific attribute. Regrettably, due to the strength of the skill, the active effect could only be employed once and in connection with a single attribute. Despite his initial skepticism, our protagonist's eyes widened in amazement as he delved into the narrative. The concept of acquiring free attribute points seemed almost implausible. Traditionally, one had to either level up or engage in rigorous practice to earn such rewards. Thus, his astonishment was justified. On the flip side, employing this passive skill could enable him to garner tribute points, essential for merely engaging in physical combat and defeating adversaries. Moreover, he discovered the potential to level up his other attributes to match the highest one, allowing the activation of his active attribute. This strategic move could establish him as an unstoppable force among newcomers, ensuring a lasting impact on history if he decided to swiftly raise all attributes to level 10. However, he recognized the imprudence of such a hasty decision in the long run. Patience might yield incredible outcomes, especially if he waited until his strength reached 1,000 or higher. A necromancer with 100,000 points across all attributes could pose a severe threat, capable of single-handedly confronting entire armies. With a grin, he convinced himself that adjusting the strength requirement for his passive skill was the optimal choice. This adjustment would enable him to swiftly accumulate a substantial number of attribute points. Without hesitation, he clenched his fist, signaling the system to grant him 10 strength attribute points. Checking his system status panel, he noted that his strength had now reached 20 points. Having completed this task, he realized the next step was to register and undergo the beginner's test, a prerequisite for official success. In an instant, our hero vanished into a teleportation vortex initiated by the system. Shortly afterward, he materialized on a stone bridge leading to a gateway where a young elf named Elaine awaited. She welcomed him as his guide and offered assistance. After the introduction, slightly taken aback by the girl's allure and questioning her status as a non-playable character, he informed her of his intention to sign up and take on the beginner's assignment. She expressed her willingness to assist and presented him with a gift box, describing it as an introductory present. Upon opening it, he found a staff, a book, and a cape. Simultaneously, a system message congratulated him on acquiring the ancient robe, staff, and grimoire through the use of the F-level skeleton summoning talent. Upon scrutinizing the items that had fallen to him, he quickly discerned that the robe held little significance as a mere accessory, and the summoning skill proved futile due to his 0 spirit level. However, the staff stood out as a valuable asset. Sturdy in appearance, and complemented by his 20 points of strength, it promised to be an effective crushing weapon. Inquiring about his beginner task, he turned to the girl who pointed towards the Misty Cave entrance. Her instruction was clear. He needed to navigate the Misty Cave cautiously, avoiding killing the skeletons, and find the quickest route to escape. She began explaining the consequences of failure, but abruptly turned around in shock and confusion, realizing that no one was behind her. Simultaneously, our hero eagerly emerged from the portal. Confirming his guide's description, he entered the mist-laden cave, where human remains littered the floor, and ethereal blue lights represented lingering souls. Although he struggled to recall the specifics of the girl's instructions, he reassured himself that it couldn't be challenging for a beginner. Suddenly, a level 1 skeleton soldier materialized from behind, brandishing a dagger and lunging at him. Swiftly turning around, he prepared for battle without hesitation. The attacker, with 20 health and 5 strength, stood no chance. Consulting the system window for details, our hero wasted no time in seizing his staff and charging at the skeleton. A swift strike reduced the skeleton's health to 20 in an instant, leaving only its decaying cranium behind. Surprised by his ability to dispatch the foe with a single stroke, he made a sardonic comment about the challenges of being unable to use magic. Almost instantly, a congratulatory message from the system arrived, acknowledging his physical defeat of the skeleton and awarding him 1 attribute point and 3 experience points. Furthermore, upon successfully defeating a monster with a single strike for the first time, he was also bestowed with another passive A-ranked talent known as Miracle of Might. The points the user had put in their strength were doubled by the skill. His ability to acquire a highly proficient skill came as a pleasant surprise to you. He deduced that strength dictated the amount of damage he dealt, and defense influenced the amount of damage reduced. By glancing at his status window, where an icon representing his strength attributes doubling had recently appeared, this meant that incredibly, he could now do 42 points of damage with a single hit, provided that his opponent had no defense. In the subsequent instant, nevertheless, our champion was cut off by a sound emanating from the multitude of skeletal hands emerging from the earth, all of which belonged to the same skeletons. He resolved to give his whole attention to his work, since he knew it was crucial. Suddenly, a swarm of obviously hostile skeleton warriors broke out of the earth and charged towards him. He remained icy and patient, even as he stood in front of the lethal blades that were about to stab him. In the very next second, it was here, he was able to deal 20 damage to each of the 4 skeletons he struck with a single swing of his staff, killing them instantly. The heads went down to the ground, their green flames still blazing, and our hero got a notification that he had killed 4 skeleton warriors with a physical assault, which gave him 4 attribute points and 12 experience. Indeed, he leveled up with the help of these experience points, and he was rewarded with 5 attribute points for the achievement. When he added these to the ones he got from slaying skeletons, his strength level reached an incredible 30 points. This was particularly surprising, given that a beginner would typically be regarded as brilliant if they received 10 points in any of the qualities. But you were still on the fence regarding whether or not slaying skeletons to farm levels was too simple for newcomers. Nevertheless, the skeleton that materialized from the earth wasn't your average one. It seemed to read his thoughts. This time, there was a gigantic skeleton wielding a spear and a shield. It was a 3rd-level skeleton captain with 50 HP, 15 strength, and 20 defense. Nevertheless, like the previous skeletons, its agility was still its strongest suit. Yo saw the opponent's power and knew he would take a beating if Yu hit him. He pulled out his staff and decided it didn't matter because he still had 1 dexterity point, giving him the advantage if he hit first. He then lunged for the skeleton, who easily parried the blow with his shield. Our hero deftly evaded his spear as he launched a counterattack. The very next second, the skeleton's actions caught Yu off guard, since he never expected to launch a swift reaction. Luckily, our hero seized an opportunity to launch an effective attack just as the skeleton was preparing to launch another hit. He hit his opponent, waiting for him to pause before striking again. The punch didn't hurt him, but it opened the door for his next move. He proceeded to spring into midair, and he was commanded to attempt to block it with an ecstatic scream. As soon as his fist hit the skeleton's skull, it lost 50 health points and died. You noticed that this opponent was very formidable. After receiving a notification from the system that he had vanquished the skeleton captain and earned 3 attribute points and 10 experience as a result, because of this, he began to question how the other people handled the situation. But for now, the most crucial thing was the yellow light sphere that fell from the sky following the killing of the skeleton captain. He had a clue since the headmaster had informed them that they could win a random prize if they were lucky enough to have a core fall out of the monster after they defeated it. Upon opening it, he discovered a D-rank skeletal fist that, when used, granted him a 100% critical strike. Yu expressed satisfaction with it, noting that it could have been even better if the item were permanent. Unfortunately, the relentless onslaught of skeletons left Yu with little time to recuperate as they emerged from the ground, catching him off guard. To his surprise, the number of skeleton soldiers had multiplied, encircling Yu and launching attacks from all angles. Despite Yu reaching level 2, his health remained a meager 20 points, prompting him to exercise caution. Yu swiftly maneuvered, efficiently dispatching the skeleton soldiers in a single blow. This accomplishment led to another level up, gaining 30 experience points. With a total of 20 out of 30 experience points, Yu also earned 10 attribute points. He thought it was easy after finishing the skeletons because, thankfully, they only required a single dexterity point. But at this point, it was irrelevant, as he needed to check the status window after leveling up again. Outside the school, the students who had passed the beginner's test were enjoying themselves, talking about the classes they had gotten. All the while, the protagonist was fighting monsters in the cave. Amidst the jubilant celebration, a sense of curiosity lingered among some students regarding the principal's delayed graduation announcement and the possibility of anyone failing so swiftly. The formidable skeletons within the cave posed a powerful threat, yet their sluggish pace allowed for a relatively easy escape. Some students scoffed at the notion of anyone faltering in such a seemingly simple task. One student, however, stood apart from the laughter, anxiously awaiting news. Concerns about the well-being of a friend or the absence of Yu heightened the tension. Within the cavern's center, the same student contemplated whether all the skeletons had been vanquished, and why the mission completion notification was yet to arrive. Suddenly, an icy voice shattered the silence, demanding an explanation. Faced with such a chilling tone, our hero naturally became vigilant. In the blink of an eye, skeletal remains ascended from the floor to the ceiling as if guided by an invisible force. Converging at a single point, they formed an assembly, seemingly oblivious to the bewildered and slightly frightened protagonist. A few seconds later, the creature's head ignited in a vibrant green blaze. Subsequently, our hero encountered a formidable adversary, larger and armed with 4 distinct weapons. A thunderous roar emanated from the primary head, revealing the skeletal figure as a level 10 skeleton king. While his agility was merely a point, like his underlings, his imposing presence commanded respect. The skeleton monarch possessed additional abilities, leaving you perplexed and bewildered about how to overcome this boss in a beginner's task. Unfortunately, time didn't permit contemplation. With a swift draw of his massive sword, the skeleton monarch charged at him. Despite the boss's lethal force, our hero skillfully evaded its attack, narrowly escaping potential instant demise. Although the opponent wielded significant power, Qiao Yu had an advantage in agility. Nonetheless, the boss boasted a defense of 60, making it uncertain whether Qiao Yu's attacks would prove effective. Undeterred, he charged at his adversary, determined to test his strength against the formidable foe. With a burst of speed, he streaked past his opponent, striking with his staff and inflicting 32 damage. Despite the initial effectiveness, he realized that the damage output fell short of his expectations. Undeterred, he devised a strategy to defeat the Skeleton King, a relentless assault with more than 10 consecutive strikes. Capitalizing on his agility, he launched a series of rapid blows, each dealing 32 damage. The unexpected onslaught overwhelmed the boss, causing the Skeleton King to crumble to the ground. Dust billowed from his body, creating a momentary commotion as the boss felt helpless. As the hero questioned the authenticity of the boss's intimidation tactics, only 200 HP remained for the boss to reform his skeletal structure. The end of the battle seemed imminent, but the boss surprised Qiao Yu with a resilient resurgence. The enraged boss erupted in verdant flames, expressing frustration at the rare occurrence of a player successfully navigating the mist cave. Blaming the loss of his skeletal troops for the current predicament, the boss vowed not to let Qiao Yu escape unscathed. Breaking through the boss's formidable defense revealed a stronger and faster skeleton monster. With an unusual burst of speed, the boss charged straight at Qiao Yu, instilling terror in the hero. Despite the increased threat, Qiao Yu skillfully evaded the imminent fatal blow, maintaining a secure distance. As they leaped, he realized the need to restrict the boss's movement. Observing a delicate stone pillar, the solution became apparent. Utilizing the pillar, Qiao Yu inflicted damage on the skeleton and constrained its mobility by luring it closer. Closing in for another strike, the enraged boss, oblivious to the impending danger, launched another assault without hesitation. "Come at me, you giant blockhead." Qiao Yu mocked him even more. Outraged by the insult, he charged at the man with a yell, planning to inflict his complete might on him. Even though he evaded it in the past, Qiao Yu's success rate was lower this time around. The skeleton strike, seemingly insignificant, inflicted 26 damage and sent him reeling as the assault's central focus fell on the stone. Even though he was in excruciating pain, our hero refused to accept that a little cut had lowered his life status to a pitiful 4 points out of 30. The enraged skeleton decided to end it all by attacking the wounded Qiao Yu. Visibly terrified, Qiao Yu prepared for the worst. However, the skeleton had to change its plans when it heard the sound of falling stones, indicating that the strategy was working. The final blow caused a crumbling stone column to nearly fall on the skeleton boss. They threw rocks at him because he wasn't far enough away, potentially causing 70 points of damage. With only 129 health points left out of 500, the injured Skeleton King was in a dire situation. Qiao Yu knew he had to act quickly before the skeleton recovered, realizing he couldn't hold on much longer. He decided to deliver a fatal blow by leaping beyond the boss and using a skeletal boxing glove for an enhanced strike. Despite being a one-time use item, it guaranteed a critical hit, and Qiao Yu aimed to make the most of this opportunity. This determined young adventurer was about to conclude his lengthy stay in the cave, a fact the skeleton boss found unbelievable. Qiao Yu's powerful blow to the skull extinguished the skeleton's life, leaving only the ash of its eerie green light among the rocks. Almost instantly, a blue gateway and information screens appeared, congratulating him on successfully completing the beginner's mission, Escape from the Cave of Mist. In addition to this accomplishment, Qiao Yu was praised for being the first to defeat the Skeleton King, the boss of the Cave of Mist. He received 30 bonus attribute points for his achievement. Glowing remains of the skeleton's fires formed a core behind him, and numerous information windows materialized, acknowledging his 10 extra attribute points and 50 experience points gained from vanquishing the skeleton boss in melee battle. Our hero had reached level 5, thanks to the 2 levels he earned along the way. Qiao Yu approached the center and extended his hand to unlock it. Not only did he manage to defeat the monster first, but he also managed to collect the equipment that the boss dropped. He still couldn't believe his luck and fortune. The Skeleton King's ring was the prize for being the first to defeat the boss. Importantly, there were no roll constraints on this sank item, which doubled the player's damage after the first assault and had a 24-hour recharge effect. The main character thought this ring was very cool. Although this ring lacked the durability of the skeleton boxing glove, its versatility made up for it. Whatever the situation may be, he could always sell the ring and pocket the several hundred it would be worth because of his elevated status. He looked at the notices once he had admired the valuable item he had received. At last, he couldn't believe he had killed the boss before everyone else in the game. Is it possible that nobody has murdered the Skeleton King up until now? He pondered. In that case, how did the other pupils manage to get a passing score? But he didn't linger in pondering it for long before he decided to abandon the task and exit the cave. Therefore, he became an extremely powerful player during the first beginner's challenge, reaching level 5 and a power level of 76 with the help of the M's Courageous spirit expertise, muscle crates, miracles, and equipment like the Ring of the Skeleton King. He was also able to acquire the talent. The portal shut behind him as he departed, making him the last student to finish the task. He was pushed aside and yelled at in indignation as his friend, Yang Xiangdi's exuberant embrace nearly knocked him down the moment he arrived. Nonetheless, the man was pleased to see him and continued to follow him. He wanted to know why he had taken so long to finish the beginner's work and what had happened to him. This caused him to begin to fear that he had perished there and his anxiety levels to rise. However, Qiao Yu initially failed to believe both his words and the rapid completion of the mission by all the pupils before they exited the portal. According to Yang Xiangdi, the last individual to emerge from the building was 3 hours ago. Zhao was taken aback by their rapidity, but he persisted in inquiring about his friend's part. Shifting the conversation focus, he adjusted his cloak in anticipation of the question. Then, boastfully, he declared his transformation into a magician and questioned in a playful way whether he was familiar with the job. The protagonist, bewildered by his heightened state of mind, couldn't believe they were in the same courtroom. His companion appeared to be enjoying a leisurely outing. The chat was cut short when an arrogant man who had come to mock Qiao Yu's late arrival suddenly entered. Ma Fei was more than just a regular student. He was also the class monitor. He looked down on the hero with an air of superiority and declared that the hero is nothing more than an embroidered cushion. In the alternate realm, proficiency takes precedence over charm, making his attractiveness inconsequential in advancing there. His quest for role clarity concluded with Qiao Yu observing Ma Fei's penchant for engaging in arguments. Despite the abrasive comments, Qiao Yu chose to dismiss them to avert trouble momentarily. Upon verifying that every student had successfully passed the exam, the principal announced their acceptance into the alternate world. Encouraging words were followed by a cautionary note about novice training the next day. Each student was invited to introduce themselves, revealing their positions and special skills. The ensuing showcases evoked a mix of joy and disappointment from the audience. Military, assassination, and grievances over low-ranking assignments followed. Zhao, a girl, emerged as a popular healer and magician, earning the endearing nickname Nanny. Her fan club embraced the title, mindful of her healing role. Another student, Anan, assumed the role of a paladin, despite her delicate appearance, showcasing remarkable defensive capabilities. Amidst the presentations, Ma Fei, known for his sarcasm, took the stage as a swordsman with AB-ranked talent, excelling in every skill. His unexpected prowess surprised the onlookers, as a swordsman held significant importance in the alternate reality. The class monitor reportedly received divine blessings, further adding to the unfolding dynamics. The principal took one look at the class and concluded, "This isn't bad after all." There were a lot of talented, bright kids in there, some of whom might even be geniuses. At long last, Qiao Yu took center stage and proudly declared to everyone that he had been cast as a necromancer. Encircled by an aura of black flames, suddenly, though, his self-assurance crumbled as he had to explain that he couldn't show his talent to everyone because doing so would be inconvenient for him. Just now, his secret gift should remain hidden from the world, he thought to himself. Apathy was the prevailing sentiment as the news unfolded. Surprisingly, the principal expressed elation upon learning that one of his pupils had secured a rare concealed position, leaving both him and the other students astonished. Among the students, a recollection of a necromancer who single-handedly dismantled an earlier alliance added an unexpected layer of tension. Ma Fei, visibly perturbed, struggled to fathom the plausibility of this revelation. Despite the covert nature of the role, he grappled with acknowledging its potential drawbacks, particularly the vulnerability associated with mages. Necromancers, inherently more fragile due to their prolonged interactions with the dead in dungeons, faced the added challenge of lengthy summoning spells and the difficulty of solo combat. Their reliance on allies with an emphasis on assault, such as assassins and swordsmen, further heightened the complexity of their role. When Ma Fei curiously looked over his shoulder, Qiao Yu chose not to disclose his status or talents, leaving Ma Fei smirking with assumed certainty. Despite Qiao Yu's classmates refraining from jealousy, they were captivated by his composed demeanor and understated approach, attributing it to what set him apart. The grounded nature of his personality led many to believe that they, in a similar situation, would struggle to maintain such composure. Unbeknownst to them, the true motivations and unsettling thoughts occupying Qiao Yu's mind remained obscure. Speculating about the upcoming events, Qiao Yu pondered the challenges of being a necromancer with minimal magical abilities during beginner training. The uncertainty of his ability to summon zombies became a source of concern when faced with the prospect of his fellow students discovering his limitations. Upon concluding the starter training, the headmaster expressed unwavering confidence in Qiao Yu's future achievements and his potential to secure admission to top colleges worldwide. After allowing each student to introduce themselves and showcase their skills, the headmaster concluded the day, instructing everyone to rest for the upcoming introductory training. The day came to a close with a directive for all to head home. Qiao Yu started heading home, but his friend Yang Xiangdi hurried to catch up with him. Yang began raving about the story's wonderful protagonist. Feeling disappointed about not being cast as a powerful necromancer, Yang wondered if he was truly that incompetent, especially with his decent spirit score. After bragging about his attributes, Yang demanded to know Qiao Yu's secret talent, convinced it must be awful. Qiao Yu reflected that hard work can make up for awkwardness, as he recalled his embarrassing 0 spirit score. Though his friend's scores were higher, Qiao Yu knew he was on a much lower level. Ultimately, things were not as bad as he had feared. Qiao Yu returned to an empty house and called out, "I'm home," as if someone would respond. His parents had fled long ago, leaving him the place they once owned, so he would always announce his arrival, hoping someday someone would finally reply. His parents had made this house feel like home whenever they returned. He aspired to welcome others so warmly, too. Now all he had was a photo of them both, and memories from his blissful early years. He recalled their kindness and generosity, and the happy childhood they gave him. But when he was 6, they suddenly announced they had to leave for the capital to resolve urgent affairs, a reason he never grasped. After that, Qiao Yu was alone, his parents mysteriously vanishing. Now, gazing at the photo, he realized 12 years had passed since they left without a trace. Where could they be, he wondered. He was set on attending university in the capital city to uncover the truth about their disappearance. Our hero and the other pupils showed up at the spot where the newbies were rehearsing the following day with a single request. The principal stood before them and made his presence known. He pleaded with them in a somber tone, reminding them to go back right away if they unexpectedly realized they couldn't make it. Failure in training would still be preferable to death, after all. The pupils' hearts sank at the sound of this. The headmaster, however, put their fears to rest by assuring them that they need not worry. After all, the beginner's world is usually not a dangerous place to be, and player deaths are infrequent. The world, however, is not without its outliers. Yes, it is correct. A terrible event occurred not long ago when a single beginner's world annihilated a class of 40, and nobody saw them again. Nobody has any idea what that awful beginner's world was like. Nightmare Village is the only name we have for it. Additionally, it was populated by both ordinary and enormous Titan-like undead. The students were terrified and bewildered upon hearing this. They lost all faith in themselves and their talents again, announcing that they need not be so serious. The principal proceeded to toy with their emotions. There is no threat to their safety if they depart the alternate dimension promptly. At last, he told them to be prepared, for the other world will be accessible as soon as the stopwatch hits 0. The 10 seconds passed in the blink of an eye as the countdown started. The stopwatch made a deafening beep sound. The headmaster then made the announcement that the first day of introductory classes had started. As ominous electrical currents enveloped each and every one of the pupils, a sudden bolt of black lightning whisked the entire class away to a different dimension, where they were to complete the exam. As they looked around, the students began to regain consciousness and attempt to determine their location. It appeared as though the community was as dull and unremarkable as they come. Ma Fei started to smugly tell all the kids that he would win the battle and keep everyone safe. As Qiao Yu kept looking about, the pupils nevertheless felt a creepy, crawly sense of foreboding and uneasiness. Even though the world around them appeared to be serene and tranquil as in a tomb, the village was dead silent. Plus, it wasn't in vain. The gruesome Nightmare Village sign wasn't there for aesthetic purposes. There were a lot of lifeless blue feet hiding in the house shadows. It appeared more like a nightmarish carnage than a beginner's class. Ma Fei calmed all of them down, telling them that he will definitely protect all. But in one corner of the village, there was a signboard hanging from the ceiling with something written on it. As we zoom in, the letters were written from dried blood, and that place was none other than the Nightmare Village itself. It was the one place that you and others should not have gotten into. And there was someone standing in the shadows with blue legs, most probably waiting for its next prey. Qiao Yu and his fellow players found themselves in an unsettling environment, leading to a sense of unease among them. Despite efforts from the class monitor to reassure the students and promise protection, the location seemed foreboding, possibly even perilous. Taking charge, the class monitor directed the students to follow him, driven by a determination to assert his leadership and strength, particularly in comparison to Yu, who, preoccupied with the peculiarities of their new surroundings, paid little attention to the monitor. Adding to the mystery, there was a notable absence of system prompts since their arrival at the village. However, their attention was abruptly diverted by a voice from behind, expressing regret at their presence. Turning around, they were confronted by an aged figure with a distinctive purpley hue and a lengthy beard, who lamented the youthfulness of the students and their unfortunate predicament. Curiosity piqued, the class monitor inquired if the old man was a non-player character, NPC, prompting Yu to question the significance of the old man's address to them. Suddenly adopting a serious demeanor, the old man welcomed the students to the Nightmare Village, an announcement accompanied by ominous weather phenomena. With the utterance of the village's name, a system prompt materialized, revealing their location to be the Nightmare Village, designated as a beginner training ground with a difficulty rating of S rank for beginners. This difficulty classification was distinct from standard worlds, with a beginner rank roughly equivalent to an E rank elsewhere. The students' objective was to survive their time in the Nightmare Village and uncover its secret. But the students were not even reading the prompt. They were shocked that they were at the place where they shouldn't have come. They knew that this place was the reason for the disappearance of 40 people, and no one has ever passed the trial before. One of them even started running towards the gate again, screaming that he wanted to go home and he didn't want to play anymore. The class monitor screamed at him, telling him not to worry as he will definitely lead everyone out of the Nightmare Village. Meanwhile, Qiao Yu was thinking that an E-level world needs the player to have at least the early stage level, but the problem was that they were all disciples. We come to know that levels in the other world are divided into disciple early stage, middle stage, and late stage. Disciples are of level 1 to 10, early stages are of level 11 to 20, and so on with the gap of 10 levels on each stage. But his thoughts were interrupted when he saw the student who was running at the gate. He bounced back onto the ground, not able to get out of the gate. Witnessing this, the other students were alarmed. Addressing them with a sense of disappointment, the old man informed them that once they entered the Nightmare Village, escape was impossible due to an invisible barrier. Realizing their predicament, panic ensued among the students, fearing their impending demise. One student even lamented his affluent upbringing, expressing a desire to enjoy life before facing death. Despite the class monitor's attempts to reassure them of his leadership and their eventual escape, his words fell on deaf ears. Meanwhile, Qiao Yu remained silent, contemplating the fate of the previous class who met their demise. Though he found the old man enigmatic, he did not perceive any malice in him. Attempting to alleviate their distress, the old man suggested that since they were already in the nightmare village, they should make themselves comfortable. This prompted a retort from the class monitor, questioning the old man's intentions and urging the students to face their situation with confidence. However, the old man, displaying anger with red eyes, clarified that he simply meant to convey acceptance of their fate. The revelation of the old man's identity as the village head, Woan Wu, brought a solemn silence among the students. He outlined 2 conditions for survival in the nightmare village: refraining from touching the black stones on the doors of the empty houses and returning indoors before nightfall, sealing all windows and doors shut. When questioned about the necessity of remaining indoors after dark, Wanwu cryptically stated that they would understand once night fell, maintaining an air of suspense. After some time, the night approached. Everyone decided to listen to the village head and find a house to hide in. First, all the students decided that they would divide into 4 groups, with 11 students in each group. Once they finalized their group members, everyone entered an empty house and shut the doors and windows tight. The shield girl advised everyone that for their safety, they should rest on the 2nd floor for that night. After they arrived at the 2nd floor, Zhao approached Yu and requested protection in case of danger. She confidently flaunted her chest and stated that she was a healer, capable of providing significant HP. Witnessing this behavior, Zuo approached her, advising her not to be shameless as many students were watching. Zhao expressed her acceptance of her actions and asked not to interfere in others' business. The shield girl remarked that looking like a cow was not something to be proud of, but the healer retorted by taunting her, stating that anything is better than having nothing. The shield girl, angered by this response, retorted that the healer's proportions were due to her being fat. The argument continued until a boy leaning towards a window caught sight of his granny outside. She expressed how much she missed him and how cold and scary it was outside. She requested him to open the window and let her hug him. Touched by her words, the boy agreed to open the window, but it became evident that the granny was not real. As the boy opened the door, Yu intervened, trying to stop him, and revealed that she was not his granny. However, as soon as the old woman entered the building, her demeanor changed, and she lunged at the boy, knocking him to the floor. Her face transformed, her eyes turned red, and she revealed herself to be a dark creature. With a menacing smile and a mark on her left hand, she was identified as a normal monster, Nightmare, with level 3 status, HP of 50, strength of 25, defense of 5, agility of 25, and an enchantment talent. Yang, unable to believe that the Nightmare was just a normal monster, intervened, using sand binding to restrain her. He called for the boy to return quickly as he couldn't hold her for long. As the boy ran towards Yang, the Nightmare transformed into a dark creature, emitting red and black flames. Instead of eyes, it had black flames and a menacing smile. The shield girl blocked the Nightmare's attack by summoning a huge shield into the air, instructing Yang to go behind her and ordering Zhao to heal her. Zhao began casting healing spells, enveloping herself in a green aura as she tended to Zhao's wounds. Understanding the importance of teamwork in confronting the Nightmare, they prepared for the summoning of an undead creature. However, to everyone's astonishment, Yu charged towards the monster wielding his staff, ready to strike. Yang was taken aback by Yu's unfamiliarity with staff combat, and cautioned him about the danger of engaging the Nightmare up close. Despite the warning, Yu boldly swung his staff at the Nightmare's head, inflicting a staggering 50 damage and defeating the creature in a single blow. The sudden turn of events left everyone in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a Nightmare with 50 HP could be vanquished so swiftly. The team, taken aback by the unexpected combat skills of the Necromancer, observed as Qiao Yu efficiently defeated the horrifying Nightmare creature. As it fell, it morphed into a shimmering black stone marked with a symbol resembling those on the enigmatic door frames. Despite delivering the decisive strike, Yu was perplexed by the lack of experience points earned. Zhao, sensing their bewilderment, asked if anyone detected any anomalies, but Yu waved it off as mere overthinking. The next day, whispers of praise echoed through the halls, lauding Zuo and Qiao Yu for their bravery against the Nightmare. Students who witnessed the harrowing battle exchanged nervous glances, still shuddering at the memory. Overhearing their hushed conversations, the class monitor scoffed, inwardly criticizing Yu's unmanly reliance on Zuo as a shield. Driven by pride and a desire to impress, he materialized his sword, vowing to conquer the nightmares in a single valiant strike. However, his grandstanding act fell flat when Yu and the others emerged. Yang, ever the optimist, showered the monitor with compliments, praising his dedication to training. Flustered by the unexpected attention, the monitor awkwardly dismissed his actions as mere practice, attempting to save face. In a desperate attempt to redeem himself, he offered Zuo a seemingly noble proposition: shelter at his home, where he assured he wouldn't force her to tank any damage. However, Zuo rejected his offer, stating that her role was to be a tank, and she couldn't fulfill the monitor's request. Frustrated, the shield girl admonished the monitor, stating that his thinking was flawed, and they should work together. She cited your example of collaboration with other students, which hurt the monitor's ego. Suddenly, someone shouted to kill all the students. As everyone turned around, they saw various monsters coming out of their houses, led by the village head, who ordered them to capture any resisting students and tie them onto a pyre to burn away their sins. The class monitor intervened, asking the village head what was wrong. The village head explained that the commotion was due to the students breaking a rule by killing the nightmare, which was a protector spirit of the nightmare village. He cursed the students, declaring they should die 1,000 deaths for their sin of angering the protector spirits. The monitor of the class attempted to pacify everyone and inquired about any possible means to preserve the guardian spirit they inadvertently vanquished. The leader of the village concurred, suggesting that if the individual responsible for provoking the guardian spirits remained outside the dwelling after nightfall, it might suffice. The monitor found themselves torn, as the unknown quantity of roaming nightmares in the village rendered staying outdoors akin to a perilous venture. However, Yu stepped forward, admitting to the village leader that they were the one who dispatched the guardian spirit. Yu volunteered to await nightfall outside the residence. The monitor was astonished by this revelation, struggling to fathom why Yu would willingly court danger. Expressing regret on behalf of their peers to the village leader, the monitor was comforted by Yu, who elucidated that they sought to confirm something, and assured that their actions might facilitate their escape from the trapped realm. Convinced, the village leader bound Yu to a pyre, anticipating the arrival of nightfall. As night fell once again, the nightmares started growling and roaming around on the rooftops of the houses. One of the nightmares spotted Yu outside the house, tied to a pyre, and opened its 5 eyes, giving a menacing look at its potential prey. It ferociously pounced towards Yu with its huge claws on the front. As Yu sensed that the nightmare was finally going to attack him, he was planning to do something, but suddenly, a huge amount of sand materialized from the ground and clenched the nightmare deep inside of it. This attack was none other than the sand binding used by Yu's friend, Yang. As Yang stood there with his wand controlling the sand and trapping the nightmare, he asked the class monitor, Fei, to act quickly, as he could only control the nightmare for a few seconds. As Ma Fei jumped towards the nightmare, he consoled Yang, telling him that he would definitely take good care of all the students as a true swordsman. However, his confidence was shattered as soon as he attacked the nightmare. The creature freed itself from the sand binding and furiously sent an attack towards Ma Fei with its claws. The class monitor managed to parry the attack with his sword, but was struck by the realization that Yu, a mere mage, had swiftly dispatched the adversary. Unwilling to accept that Yu possessed abilities beyond his own, he readied his sword once more and delivered a powerful blow aimed at breaking the nightmare's defense. However, the strike proved futile, inflicting a mere 5 damage. Meanwhile, the healer and the shield girl approached Yu, still restrained on the pyre. Yu questioned their presence outside the safety of the house, to which they confessed their fear of leaving Yu alone in the night, and thus came out to offer assistance. Zhao informed Yu of the necessity for Ma Fei to use his sword to break the chains, but Ma Fei was preoccupied with battling the nightmare. Nonetheless, Yu reassured them that a sword was unnecessary for such a minor task. With a few deft movements of his hand, Yu effortlessly unraveled and shattered the chains, freeing himself from the bindings. The girls were astonished, questioning whether Yu truly was a necromancer or not. Following the transition, the class monitor continued to grapple with the nightmare in a sword duel. Zuo and Zhao offered assistance to Ma Fei, with Zhao preparing to provide healing support. However, Ma Fei refused their aid, asserting that true heroes are forged in battle, and scars serve as badges of honor. Recognizing the monitor's resolve, the girls refrained from healing him. Instead, Yang suggested that he target the nightmare's head, citing Yu's previous success in defeating it with a direct blow to the head using his staff. Though pleased by this revelation, the monitor lamented his failure to conceive of the idea himself. Despite Yu's warning that the nightmare's weakness might not lie in its head, the monitor dismissed it, attributing it to Yu's apprehension of being surpassed by Ma Fei. Confident in his next move, the monitor delivered a powerful strike to the nightmare and swiftly maneuvered to its other side, anticipating victory. However, to his dismay, the nightmare remained alive, with 35 HP remaining, while the monitor's own HP stood at a mere 15. Plunged into panic, he questioned Yang's assurance regarding the nightmare's weak point. Similarly perplexed, the shield girl wondered why the nightmare succumbed to Yu's attack, but not to the monitor's. Yang clarified that the discrepancy lay not in the creature, but in the combatant, bluntly asserting that the monitor was not as skilled as Yu. The class monitor's self-esteem took a huge hit when he heard that he was not as good as Yu. His friends were still calling out to him, telling him that he would definitely die if he took another hit from the nightmare. But we come to know about the depth of the class monitor's dumbness when the idiot decided to ignore everyone. Ma Fei stood with his sword again, wanting to do another defense-breaking strike as the nightmare pounced at him. He dodged the attack and slashed the creature, this time more ferociously than before. He was somehow able to give the creature 30 damage, and as the nightmare was finally down, the class monitor saw the creature and knew that one last strike would definitely kill the nightmare and prove to everyone that he was better than Yu. But suddenly, a magic staff came from nowhere and killed the nightmare by giving it 5 damage. Seeing this, the monitor was destroyed. He was not able to believe that his kill was stolen, and that too by none other than Yu himself. Yu complimented the class monitor, telling him that he indeed worked hard, but the class monitor was so annoyed because of Yu stealing his limelight that he screamed at everyone, telling them that he was the one who sold the nightmare, but the brat Yu stole his limelight. Yang was somehow controlling Ma Fei, telling him to stop his childish tantrum. On the other hand, Qiao Yu was holding the blackstone dropped by the nightmare and was thinking that again, he didn't get any prompt or extra attribute points upon killing the creature. Suddenly, 2 more nightmares started running towards the students with the intention to attack them. Zhao warned everyone that another nightmare was coming towards them. Yang was confused and asked Yu about what they should do. Yu finally spoke to them, telling them to go and hide inside the house, as there was no need to fight the nightmares anymore, since Yu had already figured out what the students needed to do to pass. Before the nightmares arrived at the place, the students were already inside the house, and they shut the door tightly on the face of those deadly creatures. Zuo asked Yu about the way to pass the trial, but he maintained the suspense, telling them that all the students would know the truth tomorrow. As the time came, all they had to do was to listen to Yu when he said so. It was the next day, and the village head was furious from head to toe. He was angry with Yu that even after he gave him the chance to redeem himself, he betrayed the villagers and took out another protector spirit. The village head decided firmly that he cannot let any student destroy the nightmare village anymore, and told them that all of them must die. But Yu interrupted him, and suddenly asked a very weird question to him. He asked the village head if all the villagers really belonged to the nightmare village originally. The village head was now more furious upon hearing this dumb question. He told Yu angrily that all of the villagers lived in the nightmare village for generations. Yu took a serious tone and told them that every single one of the village people were not the original inhabitants of the nightmare village. He revealed that all 40 of the villagers were the part of the class that was wiped out in the nightmare village previously. He told all the villagers that since they were all trapped in the fantasy realm ever since they entered, they had no way of leaving the other world they were in. The villagers were bewildered by this revelation. The village head, incredulous, chuckled and accused Yu of fabricating tales out of fear for his impending demise. However, Yu reassured them that his assertions were grounded in solid evidence. From his back pocket, Yu produced a black stone identical to those adorning the doors of nightmare village houses. Upon seeing the stone, the village head rushed toward Yu, proclaiming that they deserved 10,000 deaths for disturbing the protector stone. Yet, it wasn't just you who had removed the stone. All 4 of his companions had also produced black stones from their pockets. This revelation left the village head stunned as he explained to the students the significance of the protector stones as high-level sacred objects safeguarding them from nocturnal attacks, warning of divine retribution for any tampering. However, you interjected, asserting that there had never been any protector stone in the village to begin with. The entirety of the fantasy realm within the Nightmare Village consisted of the black stones adorned with mysterious symbols. According to Yu's understanding, shattering these black stones would unravel the fantasy and liberate all those ensnared within. Signaling to his 4 companions, Yu urged them to destroy their black stones, prompting them to hurl the stones to the ground, breaking them into fragments. As the stones fragmented, cracks emerged in the sky above the villagers' heads. With the widening of these cracks, each villager began to recollect their past. They were revealed to be former students of the same school, aspiring to gain entry into prestigious universities upon completing their beginner trial. However, upon entering the Nightmare Village, they were besieged by monsters, and an inexplicable transformation befell them, turning them into residents of the Nightmare Village, with the individual tasked with their protection ultimately assuming the role of their village head. As the scene shifts, the white-haired guy finally remembered that he was the class monitor of his class and tried to protect his classmates from the calamity, but it was too late for him to do so, and he was also turned into a villager with the other students. A notification popped up, telling the students that a player has found the secret at the core of the Nightmare Village and successfully awakened its villagers. The mission was a success, and rewards to be given to the students would be calculated based on everyone's individual ratings. Everyone was happy that they finally passed the test and started teleporting back to their worlds. Young Ma Fei, Zuo, and Zhao were happy that Yu was finally able to crack the code and helped everyone in getting out of the village. Even Ma Fei complimented Yu, telling him that he was a little smart for once. Yong asked Yu about how he figured out the way to pass the trial, but Yu told him and everyone to hold their thoughts because they would talk about it once they get back to their world. Anyway, as time passed and every other student was transported back to their worlds, the 5 friends were still present there in the Nightmare Village. Zhao asked everyone if they didn't pass, but suddenly a notification popped up congratulating the 5 players who destroyed the Black Nightmare's stone. A new mission was given to them, telling them to retrieve the Heart of Nightmares, but this mission difficulty was ranked as ranked. How would the players, who were mere disciples, be able to complete an E-ranked mission? Upon the arrival of the remaining students at the 4th campus, they informed the principal that all had successfully completed the test, except for Yu and his 4 companions who had yet to return from the Nightmare Village. The principal speculated that they might have triggered a concealed mission, and if they managed to fulfill it, they would have the opportunity to select from any university in the country. However, the task ahead was not as straightforward as it seemed. A hidden mission was usually extremely dangerous, and the place from where the mission was activated was already responsible for the disappearance of 40 students earlier. The principal was worried for his students, pondering if they would be strong enough to complete the hidden mission. As the scene shifts, we see the group of 5 students were standing together. One of them, Zhu, mentioned that she was only at level 3 and the others were probably at the same level. Yang warned everyone that attempting the secret mission with their current strength would be very dangerous. Another student, Zhao, asked if it was possible to rescue the villagers without triggering the secret mission. Yu, feeling nervous, avoided answering. Suddenly, Yang interrupted, saying that finding a secret mission was something that happened unexpectedly, not something they should actively seek. He believed that Yu already knew how to activate the mission by breaking the black stones and hinted that they should do it together. Yu was surprised to find the conversation was in his favor. The class monitor also thought that it was indeed very surprising for Yu to be willing to share this kind of opportunity. He was determined to complete the hidden mission before Yu, but suddenly, large claws came into the vision of those students, and multiple nightmares started running towards them to attack, growling loudly with a killing intent. The creatures were now speaking human language and were telling the students that they must all die. Yong was surprised to see that 4 deadly creatures were coming towards them at once. Zhao prepared her shield and instructed her companion, also named Zhao, to get ready to heal. She then asked Yang to immobilize the enemies with sand binding, and requested Ma Fei to attack. Ma Fei struck the nightmare with his sword, using a move to break through its defense. However, he was surprised to find that his attack only caused 10 points of damage, whereas Qiao Yu could defeat the creatures in one shot. Urged by Zhao and Zhao, Ma Fei hurried, as their mana was running low, risking the girls' lives if the nightmare wasn't dealt with soon. Suddenly, Yu descended from the sky and attacked the nightmare with his staff. This time, something new happened. A notification appeared, rewarding Yu with extra attribute points for defeating the nightmare with a melee attack. This confirmed to Yu that they were no longer in an illusion. He was really defeating the nightmares and receiving notifications for it. Yu continued to defeat the nightmares, earning extra points and experience. He also found a yellow sphere on the ground, realizing that the hidden mission indeed offered valuable rewards to players. It turned out to be a fairy's necklace, an F-rank equipment that boosts skill damage by 5%, specifically for mages. This discovery brought joy to Yu as he realized the benefits of completing the hidden mission. As Qiao Yu had 0 spirit points, he knew that he would not be able to take full advantage of the equipment, and decided that he would give it to Yu instead. Everyone was happy that they worked together and defeated the nightmares. Yu asked them to keep going and to find all nightmares to kill. He just needed to kill one more nightmare, and he would be able to level up to level 6. Plus, the Hidden Realm was giving him a very high chance of having rare equipment which can be used by him later. He was happy as he knew this fact, and started jumping around and walking happily. Yang was confused and told Yu that the hidden mission was something along the lines of getting the Heart of Nightmares. But Yu told him that the Heart of Nightmares must be inside a nightmare, so they wouldn't go wrong if they just killed all the nightmares they found on the way. But as Yu was not noticing where he was walking, he put his step onto a trap set on the roadside. As soon as he did this, the ground started cracking, and a huge hole appeared below them. As they fell deep inside, they were surprised by knowing that there was something even below the nightmare village. As Yu landed, he was not able to understand why the floor was so soft and squishy, but then Yang called him out, telling him to get off his back. Everyone stood up, balancing themselves, and were happy to know that they were all fine and didn't get any injuries. But all of them saw that they were surrounded by malice of somewhat red color. Yang noticed and told them that there was a very strong smell like a sewer in the place they had fallen into. The shield girl guessed that because the place they were in was closed off from the outside world, it didn't get any air, and the dead bodies of small animals must have been left to rot in that place for a long time. But Zhao interrupted everyone by telling them that it was not the smell of a dead body, but instead, someone was breathing in the chamber. Everyone turned around to see what Zhao was looking at, and were deeply shocked by the scene they saw. A huge monster sleeping onto an altar-like space. Its eyes were closed, and it was full of malice. Red and black flames were coming out from all over its body. A notification popped up, telling everyone that he was the rare boss, the Nightmare King, who was in a sleeping state. He was a level 10 boss with an HP of $1,000 and a strength of 65. His defense was quite weak, with only 20 points, but he was very agile, scoring 60 in that regard. His abilities included compulsion and controlling nightmares. The system also warned players that awakening the Nightmare King would lead to its aggressive pursuit. Yu recognized that the Nightmare boss resembled the Skeleton King but was significantly stronger. Yang realized that the essence of the nightmare resided in the Nightmare King's heart, yet Zhao and Ma Fei hesitated to confront the boss, suggesting others find a way to exit the hidden mission. Even the highly skilled Ma Fei sided with Zhao, advising against facing the Nightmare King at this point. However, Yu interjected, believing there was a chance to defeat the creature. He calculated that with his current strength of 101 points and the boost from the Ring of the Skeleton King, his attack power would reach 202 with a 50% damage increase for his initial strike. All that remained was to identify the Nightmare King's vulnerabilities and strike it 3 or 4 times to potentially defeat it. But he knew that if he messed up, every single one of them would die. Yang approached Yu with a concerned face and put his hand onto Yu's head, asking him if he had a fever. Annoyed by this, Yu told him that he was all right and the Nightmare King's stats were high, but its defense was too low. If they used their strengths against its weaknesses, they might have a % chance of winning. Zuo interrupted him, asking if he wanted the other students to draw the Nightmare King's attention. Yu agreed with Zhao's idea and assured them that if they helped him get an opportunity to attack the creature, He was confident he could defeat the Nightmare King. He was aware of the risks involved, especially considering the Nightmare King's superior agility compared to all of them, including himself. Failing to dodge the creature's attacks could result in certain death. However, Yu was reassured by his friend's support. They trusted him and were willing to go along with his plan to defeat the Nightmare King. Even Ma Fei, typically lost in his own world, expressed concern, advising Yu not to attempt heroics beyond his capabilities. But Yu calmed him with a confident gaze that silently conveyed, "Trust me, buddy." Once they had all rested and fully restored their mana, Yu leaped at the Nightmare King, searching for its weak spot. The first strike was crucial, utilizing the Skeleton King's 50% attack boost. Yu saw an opportunity to deal a lot of damage to the Nightmare King and weaken it. He noticed something inside the creature that looked like its weak spot. With determination, he struck the glowing orb with his staff, using the power of the Ring of the Skeleton King. This attack turned out to be very effective, causing 8 damage to the Nightmare King. Everyone was amazed by Yu's strength, finding it hard to believe that a mage could do so much damage. Then, a notification appeared, informing Yu that he had destroyed the Nightmare King's heart, changing the mission. As a result of Yu's attack, the Nightmare King woke up, furious and ready to fight. Another notification informed the group that the mission had been successfully updated and now their task was to defeat the Nightmare King. But the difficulty of that mission was a whopping A rank. As the Nightmare King growled furiously at them, Yu jumped out of the creature's body to protect himself. He warned everyone to get ready and act according to the plan. The Nightmare King was not at all happy with the intruders. He started making a hissing sound and told them that the presence of vile humans was not allowed in his domain. Yu and his friends were ready to face off with the Nightmare King as the creature arose from its deep slumber, disturbed by the students. They were like mere ants in front of the huge manifestation of what looked like the Nightmare King's body. It also had the same mark that the other nightmares had on their left hand, but it was huge and was present in the middle of its chest, signifying his dominance over the other creatures. Yu screamed at Ma Fei to attack the creature and distract him. As soon as he heard Yu's order, Ma Fei jumped at the Nightmare King with his sword. He struck the Nightmare King with all his might, hoping to weaken its defenses, but was dismayed to see that he only caused 1 damage. Surprised by Yu's ability to deal 58 damage with a single hit, he couldn't comprehend it. However, being the class monitor, he was determined not to give up. He resolved to keep attacking the Nightmare King, even if it meant slowly chipping away at its health. With relentless determination, he continued to strike the boss, dealing 1 or 2 damage with each hit. This annoyed the boss, who threatened to grant his wish for a quick death. Undeterred, the class monitor bravely faced the monster, reminding it of his past achievements and fearless attitude. As the Nightmare King prepared to attack, he signaled to his classmates, Yang and Zhao, for support. They quickly responded, using their abilities to shield and restrain the Nightmare King. However, their efforts were short-lived, as the boss easily broke through the shield and escaped the sand binding. Ma Fei was completely shocked when he saw what was happening. Even though the Nightmare King's attack was weaker and Zhao was healing the class monitor, they were still struggling against the boss. Ma Fei yelled at Yu, saying he couldn't hold on much longer. Hearing this, Yu rushed towards the Nightmare King. As the scary creature turned around, Yu aimed for its hips, dealing a whopping 182 damage. Suddenly a warning appeared, saying that since the Nightmare King's HP was low, it would activate the Realm of Nightmares. This made Yu very nervous. The Nightmare King started screaming loudly, and black evil energy started spreading all around, hurting everyone in the area. Despite their efforts, Yu's friends couldn't do anything to stop the damage caused by the Nightmare King's attack. Yu understood that he couldn't allow the Nightmare King to use that attack again, as he was certain that others would turn into villagers if hit by the same attack. Yu screamed at the Nightmare King, demanding that it stop the spell. He slammed his staff onto the Nightmare King's hips again, dealing 182 damage. With only 128 points of HP left, Yu knew he could kill the boss with just 1 more hit, thanks to his overpowered strength. He jumped into the air with the staff in his hand, ready to deliver the final blow to the Nightmare King. However, Zhao and Zuo warned him mid-air that they had no mana to protect Yu at that moment. Yu reassured them. saying there was no need to worry because he would finish the fight with this strike. He descended onto the Nightmare King's body, slamming his staff onto the creature's head and hips, dealing 128 damage and finishing it off. A notification appeared, commending Yu for successfully defeating the boss of the Nightmare Village for the first time. In recognition of this achievement, he received 30 free stat points, along with an additional 10 free stat points and 50 experience points for defeating the Nightmare King through melee attacks. Yu's consecutive level up earned him 10 more free stat points. With the notifications concluded, the group witnessed the gradual disappearance of the Nightmare King, its form cracking from within as it succumbed to defeat. A final notification announced to all students that the hidden mission to vanquish the Nightmare King had been accomplished. The rewards for completing the mission would be distributed based on the player's performance ratings. The system began assessing the completion rate and levels of the players. Despite their initial hesitations, everyone felt a sense of satisfaction at having successfully completed the hidden mission. Following the completion of the system evaluation, Zhao was assigned a D rank and rewarded with the Spring Breeze and Willow talent. Zuo, earning a C rank, received the same talent, along with Yang, who also attained a C rank and gained ground explosion magic. Similarly, Ma Fei achieved a C rank and was granted the talent known as Separating the World with one strike attack. In contrast, Qiao Yu stood out, securing an impressive A rank and earning 50 experience points in addition to a B-ranked skill book titled Withering Magic. With the defeat of the Nightmare King, a portal materialized once more before Yu, reminiscent of the occurrence following his victory over the Skeleton King. Internally, Yu cheekily urged the deceased Nightmare King to yield valuable items. As he reached into the portal, he retrieved a resplendent golden sword emitting a radiant yellow glow. This weapon, dubbed the Dragon-Piercing Sword, was classified as B-rank equipment. Notably, it bolstered the player's attack by 100 points and disregarded 30% of opponents' armor. Furthermore, it augmented sword damage by 20% and imposed no cooldown restrictions. However, its use was confined to fighter-class players above level 11. Yu was annoyed, thinking about why the Nightmare King would drop a B-ranked sword. On the other hand, the class monitor's mouth started watering as he saw the golden sword glittering in the hands of his rival, Yu. Seeing this behavior, Qiao Yu threw the sword towards Ma Fei, as he was the only fighter among their group who used a sword. Even the class monitor was not able to understand this weird gesture of his opponent. He couldn't believe that Yu was giving him a B-ranked sword so easily. He knew that no matter how much the players were ready to spend, it was not easy to buy such expensive B-ranked equipment. If Ma Fei ever sold the sword Yu gave him, he would be able to get a house in the capital easily. Yu was getting annoyed and told the class monitor that he did not care what he did with the sword Yu gave him. Frustration simmered within Yu as he scrutinized the portal, disappointed by the single piece of equipment dropped by the Nightmare King, which proved to be of no use to him. Admitting defeat, he resigned himself to examining his stat page to gauge his progress post-battle. Analysis revealed a substantial increase in strength, yet the persistent concern over his mere 70 HP weighed heavily on him. Aware that even a single blow from a high-level adversary could prove fatal, he grappled with the passive limitations imposed by the Miracle of Might, hindering allocation of attribute points to stats other than strength. Resigned to his circumstances, Yu resolved to prioritize strategies for self-preservation. With the mission now concluded, the system promptly announced their return to the real world. In a swift transition, Yu and his companions found themselves back on the academy campus. Elation radiated from every student, their relief palpable as they welcomed Yu and his friends back to their world. The collective joy at their safe return underscored the profound impact of their heroic actions. Rushing toward Yu, the principal sought assurance of their well-being, revealing their absence of 2 days had caused considerable concern, almost leading to a loss of hope for their return. Relieved by their safe homecoming, he inquired about their venture into the Nightmare Village, informed it was merely a triggered hidden mission necessitating completion. His conjecture proved correct, eliciting his satisfaction and congratulations to the students, whom he deemed exceptionally fortunate. Anticipating a competitive frenzy among top universities vying for their enrollment, he lauded them as 5 remarkable talents emerging from a single class, heralding a promising future as a cohort of prodigies. Amidst the general jubilation, even the class monitor shared in the joy, observing Yu's smile alongside the principal with a sense of determination. Vowing to capitalize on the power of the dragon-piercing sword, bestowed upon him by Yu, he harbored ambitions of swiftly eclipsing Yu's prowess, propelled by the formidable advantage of his newfound equipment. A member of the school administration urgently approached the principal, announcing the unexpected arrival of representatives from Huing University and Jiangdu University, seeking the 5 students who had recently returned from completing the hidden mission in the Nightmare Village. The principal, taken aback by this revelation, had yet to formally report the students' return, finding amusement in the university's prompt knowledge. Despite his outward demeanor, inwardly, he felt gratified to conclude his teaching career on such a positive note. Approaching the principal, 2 unfamiliar figures clad in blazers and coats extended simultaneous handshakes, introducing themselves as Teacher Pang and Pei, representing their respective universities. Pang wasted no time in assessing Yu and his companions, recognizing them as the exceptional talents who had successfully tackled the Nightmare Village mission. Pei, visibly irked, criticized Pang's eagerness to recruit the students without assessing their abilities first. Pang, undeterred, justified his approach as a display of earnestness characteristic of Shangdu University. He challenged Pei to conduct his own assessment if he harbored doubts about the students' capabilities, taunting him to confirm their potential through test results. Pei introduced himself as the recruitment officer from Huaqing University, outlining the forthcoming assessment aimed at determining the students' aptitude and adaptability to various scenarios. He assured the students that the evaluation would encompass a range of criteria, including their individual stats, to ascertain their eligibility for admission to the university. While all 5 students expressed readiness to undergo the test, Yu harbored a hint of concern upon learning that their abilities within their designated roles would be scrutinized. Knowing that he would be unable to utilize his necromancer skills under such circumstances, Yu felt a twinge of apprehension. Nevertheless, driven by his determination to gain entry to Jingdu University and unravel the mystery surrounding his parents' disappearance, Yu resolved to persevere through the assessment. The instructors asked all 5 of the students about who wanted to be tested first from them. As Ma Fei was the class monitor, he confidently took out his sword and told the instructors that he will give the test first. He introduced himself as Ma Fei, a swordsman disciple with a B-rank talent and a level of 5. Instructor Peng of Jingdu University was surprised when he looked at the class monitor. He was already level 5 despite having only completed the beginner's training, and on top of that, he even had a B-rank talent. According to the instructor, Ma Fei was so good-looking and tall, he even looked like he was to be in the Jingdu University. Instructor Pei stood resolutely, his hand raised in preparation. As a level 25 gunman disciple, he boasted impressive statistics: a strength of 300, defense of 152, agility of 53, and spirit of 24, with a robust HP pool of 500. Manifesting a shield before him, Pei issued a challenge to Ma Fei, inviting him to test his prowess. In response, Ma Fei chuckled, cautioning the instructor as he unsheathed his sword and executed the world-separating strike, effortlessly shattering Pei's defensive barrier. Pei, taken aback by the unexpected display of skill from a novice, struggled to comprehend how his defense could be breached. Despite his proficiency as a level 25 gunman disciple, Pei found himself admiring Ma Fei's technique, acknowledging the rarity of the shield-breaking maneuver and its augmentation of sword attacks. Graciously accepting Pei's commendation, Ma Fei expressed gratitude for the recognition. Observing the exchange, Peng chimed in, speculating on Ma Fei's formidable strength, noting his ability to penetrate Pei's shield. Surmising Ma Fei's strength to be at least 35 points, Peng also remarked on his impressive agility. As praise for their class monitor reverberated among the students, Pei discerned Pang's underlying agenda, suspecting an attempt to entice the exceptional students back to Jingdu University. Pei interrupted the other instructor, asking Ma Fei about his decision about the university he wanted to join, also telling him that the doors of Huaqing University would always be open for him. Peng interrupted Pei again, telling Ma Fei to come to Jingdu University, as they would provide him with the best resources possible. The instructors didn't know that they were fighting for an ignorant mister to damage, but anyways, Ma Fei gently declined their request, telling them that he wanted the others to get tested first, as he wanted some time to think. but deep inside, he had already decided that he will join the university which would be chosen by his rival, Qiao Yu. Agreeing to his request, the instructors decided to continue the test. Again, they called out the next student, and it was Zhao's turn. She showed her talent to the instructor by using her Fresh Breeze attack. Pei was surprised when he came to know that the girl was able to heal the whole party, despite only being level 4. Next was the Meat Shield girl, Zuo. She materialized her huge shield in front of the instructor, and as he attacked the shield, he was getting his attack inflicted upon him. He was shocked to know that Zuo possessed such strong defensive ability, despite only being level 4. He inquired more about her ability. She told him that this was her D-rank talent, damage-reflecting armor spikes. The instructor complimented her by saying that for someone with a shield role, there was nothing more useful than the talent of reflecting the damage they receive. Yang stepped forward for his turn, prepared to demonstrate his abilities. The instructor, making assumptions based on Yang's appearance, presumed he would fulfill the role of a meat shield. However, Yang swiftly corrected the instructor, asserting his role as a mage. Taken aback by Yang's declaration, the instructor couldn't reconcile the image of a hefty individual with the concept of a mage. Yang, offended by the implicit stereotype, unleashed his attack without hesitation. As the test commenced, the instructor was puzzled by Yang's unconventional approach, unable to discern any traces of traditional magic. With a solemn demeanor, Yang uttered the incantation for his spell. Ground explosion magic. Suddenly the ground beneath the instructor erupted with a deafening boom, catching both the instructor and the surrounding students off guard. Startled by the unexpected manifestation of Yang's talent, the instructor realized his oversight in assessing Yang's abilities. Yang's unique talent, undetected by conventional means, posed a significant threat, as demonstrated by the instructor's loss of 3 HP, without prior warning. Contemplating the implications of Yang's power, the instructor resolved to closely monitor the student's progress, recognizing the principal's achievement in nurturing 5 exceptional talents within a single academic year. Finally, it was Qiao Yu's turn to undergo the test. Instructor Pei addressed him, intrigued by the fact that Yu's talent ranking remained undisclosed. Peng, similarly taken aback, noted that Yu was 2 levels higher than his peers, but harbored doubts about the secrecy surrounding his talent ranking. He speculated that Yu might be concealing a low talent rank due to embarrassment. Without further delay, the instructor proceeded with the test, querying Yu about the type of undead creatures he could summon. Determined not to suffer repeated injuries, the instructor braced himself, resolving to withstand any potential attacks from the new disciple. Much to his surprise, the instructor witnessed Yu charging towards him with clenched fists. Expecting an imminent close-range deployment of a powerful necromancy technique, the instructor braced himself. However, he was caught entirely off guard when Yu delivered a forceful right hook, surpassing expectations of physical prowess for a necromancer. The instructor, underestimating Yu's strength in hand-to-hand combat, found himself airborne after being struck by the formidable blow, which inflicted 200 damage upon him. As a result, he was propelled backward and landed far from Yu's position, leaving the spectators, including the principal and instructor Peng, astonished by the unexpected turn of events. Witnessing Yu's ability to incapacitate a level 25 instructor with a single strike left them incredulous. Instructor Peng, in disbelief, admonished Pei, remarking on his humiliation at the hands of a mere level 7 necromancer. This incident underscored the widely acknowledged notion that necromancers typically possess the least physical prowess among all roles. Peng voiced doubts regarding Pei's impartiality, suggesting a possible familial connection between Yu and Pei that might have influenced the leniency shown in the assessment. Conversely, Pei vehemently refuted any accusations of bias, affirming his commitment to fair evaluations. Nonetheless, internally, the instructor grappled with the shock of Yu's powerful punch, which nearly caused him to suffer a heart attack. He struggled to reconcile the discrepancy between Yu's low level and the immense force behind the blow. The students, equally amazed, questioned the plausibility of witnessing a seemingly frail individual launching a teacher into the air with a single punch. Even Peng, acknowledging the unsettling nature of Qiao Yu's feat, felt relieved that it was Pei and not himself conducting the tests. Maintaining a calm demeanor, Yu inquired about the completion of his assessment, but Peng interjected, noting that Yu had yet to demonstrate his proficiency in undead magic. Undeterred, Yu clarified his intention to focus on physical combat akin to warriors, deeming his magical abilities secondary. For Yu, the paramount objective was gaining admission to Jingdu University, overshadowing the need to showcase magical prowess. Peng was surprised by Qiao Yu's unprecedented decision to pursue a role different from his own, a rarity in educational circles. He promptly informed Yu of the need to consult the principal and requested a brief pause. Meanwhile, Pei, sensing a potential rival, hurriedly contacted the principal of Huang University. But Peng acted swiftly. He immediately reached out to the principal, recounting the remarkable feat of Yu, a mere level 7 necromancer, who incapacitated a teacher from Huang University with a single punch. Astonished by this revelation, the principal acknowledged Yu's exceptional talent as exclusive to Jingdu University. Instructing Peng to cater to Yu's every need should he choose to enroll, the principal emphasized the importance of securing Yu's admission. At the same time, Pei persistently attempted to contact his university's principal, albeit unsuccessfully. In response, the principal instructed Peng to arrange a video call between himself and Yu, expressing a personal desire to extend an invitation. Peng agreed and initiated the call, through which the principal, Ji Pingyang, appeared before Yu. Pingyang conveyed his anticipation for Yu's enrollment, highlighting the institution's prestigious history and esteemed faculty. However, before Pingyang could finish, Yu intervened, confirming his decision to join Jingdu University, leaving Pei stunned with apprehension. Finally, the principal of Huang University received Pei's call and asked him what the matter was. But Pei told the principal that he was too late and thought that the rest of the students were not too bad and he will fight for them. But the principal of Jingdu University was one step ahead. He asked all 5 of the students to join together as they were from the same class. Hearing this, all the students were so happy that they agreed to the proposition of the principal. Pei was shook to the core by this revelation, as his plan was shattering completely in front of him bit by bit. He started cursing the Jingdu University for taking all the 5 prodigies for themselves. Seeing that reaction, Peng stood proudly with his eyes gleaming as that day was the highlight of his admissions career. But before Principal Pingyang cut the call, Yu wanted to ask a few more questions to him. He asked the principal if he knew his father, Chaoan King. The principal was struck to the core hearing that name, and asked Yu if he was the son of Chaoan King and Bai Shixia. He told Yu that he was able to feel a strong sense of familiarity from him, but was not able to quite place it. Before Yu repeated his question with a serious tone this time, asking the principal if he knew where his parents were. But the principal informed him that even if his parents were both his university students, he hadn't seen them in over 10 years. He was only able to tell Yu that his parents were very talented individuals. The principal harbored concerns about the whereabouts of the 2 individuals, fearing they may have perished after a decade of absence. However, he refrained from voicing these apprehensions to Yu directly. Instead, he conveyed his inability to obtain further information about them since their graduation. Suddenly recalling discussions about Yu's parents' private world, the principal urged Yu to explore it, suggesting that it held something left behind by his parents before their disappearance. Before ending the call, the principal informed all 5 students that he would send their acceptance letters directly once they were finalized. Additionally, he advised them to successfully navigate the worlds associated with their respective roles before the commencement of school, as doing so would earn them greater respect upon admission. Wishing the students good luck, the principal then vanished into thin air. 1 week later, the 4th college separated all the students into classes according to their roles in the other world. It was helpful in an intensive preparation of the students to get scouted by elite universities easily. We come outside the gate of the Mags class of the 4th college. The principal was present there once again, telling the students that today was the day when they will enter a world specifically designed for mages. He added that the world of mages was usually a test of the student's mental ability and should be based on logic or riddles. The principal assured them that as long as they worked together, they would be able to pass the test. However, the chairs designated for Yang and Qiao Yu remained unoccupied, indicating their absence from the class. As the principal commenced explaining the passing criteria, the scene transitioned to Qiao Yu and Yang standing before a captivating NPC and a portal crafted from ancient stones emitting a brilliant blue glow. Yu queried Yang about their ability to undertake the task. But Yang, disenchanted with the theoretical discussions in class, sought practical application. He reasoned with Yu that the more individuals entering the specialized world together would significantly elevate its difficulty. Hence, it was preferable for just the two of them to tackle it. Yang cheerfully remarked to Yu that by sparing him the burden of carrying the entire class, he was doing Yu a favor. Moreover, Yang suggested to Yu that if he desired to increase his workload, he could undertake the specialized world multiple times, albeit without additional rewards. Yang expressed great enthusiasm for the AI NPC before him, informing her of their intention to explore the specialized world for mages, alongside his friend, Qiao Yu. Acceding to their request, the elf NPC instructed the system to retrieve a world tailored for 2 mage players. Subsequently, the portal's hue transformed from blue to a purplish tint, indicating the creation of a new specialized world for 2 players. This world was dubbed the Cave of 10,000 Poisons. Upon seeing this, Yu hurried towards the portal, but Yang stopped him, asking him if he was not going to listen to the mission instructions. Surprised by this, Yu asked Yang if there were even instructions to clear the dungeon. Yang was baffled when he heard these words from the mouth of his friend. He immediately asked Yu about how he passed the Cave of Skeletons when he never heard about the instructions. Yu gave an idiotic smile, and Yang immediately understood that Yu just made his path by killing and slaughtering the skeletons on the way. The elf started narrating a story to both of them in a serious voice. The legend has it that there was an ancient evil tribe in Xiandonggan. Its people are vicious and merciless. They are so good at using poisonous worms that they can poison the players without anyone knowing. A poisoned person will grow deathly sick, and the poisonous worms will reproduce in their body, eating their flesh until the host dies. The mission's objectives were to find the evil tribe of legend and to destroy all the poisonous worms. The rewards for the mission would be decided based on the way Yang and Yu complete the mission. The elf even gave them a gentle reminder that the Cave of 10,000 Poisons required 5 players to start. As they were short of 3 players, the system will automatically match them with 3 other players. As Qiao Yu and Yang got through the portal, they teleported at an ominous-looking place along with 3 strangers. When they looked ahead of them, there was a giant wall with cracks which had a huge gate made out of heavy metal attached to it. As the 3 newcomers looked at Qiao Yu and Yang, a boy was frustrated by them, warning them to not drag the 3 down with them. But the girl from their team shuts the boy up, telling him that it was fate that Yu and Yang matched together with the 3 of them. She introduced herself as Fang Yuan, a fire mage, and the boy beside her was his little brother Fang Shun, and he was also a fire mage like her. The 3rd person, or the annoyed brat, was named Long Chong. Yang and Yu introduced them as to the 3 and wished themselves good luck for the future. As they reached in front of the huge gate, the girl read the 5 words written above its frame that said, "Morality and integrity provide peace." The girl understood that those 5 words on the pillar should be instructions to open the door. But the brat told them that he doesn't care about some instructions. He will instead break the door down with his magic. But his overconfidence was shattered because when he attacked the gate with his spell, it had no effect on it. The girl was not surprised, thinking that the door must have some kind of immunity to magic. But the brat was baffled when he came to know that he really had to use his brain a little, and there was no other way. Or was there? On the other hand, when Yang knew that the door was immune to magic, something clicked inside his brain. The girl finally knew the answer to a part of the riddle. She told everyone that morality and integrity signified protection, but it was all useless because used his miracle of might to punch the door down into pieces. The 3 players were baffled, and the girl stopped in between her deciphering process. The brat was not able to believe that Yu once shot a door physically with so much ease. The system told Yu that his answer was correct, and the door was finally open. As always, Yang complimented his brother Yu. But in reply to it, Qiao Yu told Yang that he just wanted to see if he could push the door open physically, but he never realized that the door was actually this weak. Finally, all 5 of them entered through the broken gate and arrived another place full of red flowers. They saw that there was another door at the other side of the garden. But Yu noticed something and told everyone that the flowers looked too unnatural to him, and advised the others to be careful. But Yu looked at his hand and told Yu that it was already too late. All 5 of the students were poisoned even before they knew how it happened. The poison inflicted 3 damage to their HP every minute. Observing the situation, Yang found himself in a state of panic, seeking guidance from Yu on how to proceed. Yu advised him to keep advancing, cautioning that lingering near the flowers would only lead to death. However, internally, Yu felt the most apprehensive, realizing that if the poison continued to spread, his HP wouldn't endure for even half an hour. While the 3 newcomers deliberated on how to overcome this obstacle, Yu felt pressed for time. Taking matters into his own hands, he charged toward the door and forcefully broke it open, declaring that he couldn't afford to waste any time. The 3 newcomers were astonished by Yu's actions, expecting a puzzle-solving challenge but finding themselves bypassing it without a moment's thought. The system extended its congratulations to the players for successfully completing Mission 1, leading them to uncover the malevolent tribe of legend known as the Cave of 10,000 Poisons. The students were taken aback to learn that the picturesque location they found themselves in bore the ominous name of the Cave of 10,000 Poisons. As they searched for their next course of action, a blue-haired young girl named Zha Dong suddenly appeared behind them. Introducing herself, Dong inquired if the students hailed from the outside world, only to notice that all 5 of them were afflicted by poison. Recognizing the source as Bayan Flowers, she urged them to swiftly follow her back to the Cave of 10,000 Poisons, assuring them of treatment. She cautioned that once the poison penetrated too deeply, medical intervention would be futile. The mysterious appearance of the girl left everyone astonished, with Yu particularly bewildered by her sudden presence and timely mention of the Cave of 10,000 Poisons. The fiery girl suggested prioritizing treatment for the group, given their uncertainty about their next steps. Without delay, Dong dashed toward a nearby village, calling out to her parents and informing them of her guests. As her mother prepared to inquire about the strangers, Dong quickly interjected, explaining that they were travelers she encountered while gathering medicinal plants in the mountains. She relayed that the travelers had been poisoned by Bayan flowers and requested her mother to prepare a pot of 5 poison soup for them. Dong's mother swiftly ushered the students into the house and began brewing the soup. After a short while, Dong returned with her parents, bearing a tray with the completed 5 poison soup. Dong's mother served the unappetizing concoction, containing various unsavory ingredients, to the students. One of the students hesitated at the sight of the repulsive soup, suggesting that Yang should taste it first, due to his supposedly sturdier constitution. However, Yang retorted that his apparent resilience was merely a result of excess fat rather than robust physique. Suddenly, Yu took the bowl of wannabe soup into his hand and gulped it down in one shot. He had to drink it quickly because he only had half of his HP left. Once Yu finished his soup, he told everyone that the soup was not too salty or too bland and tastes great. He told them that the 5 poison soup was really helpful for him because his poison status was now disappeared. He started persuading the others to also drink up their soups and heal themselves fast. But as soon as they drank the mysterious stew, they started vomiting and feeling uneasy. Disregarding their predicament, Yu inquired about the history of the Cave of 10,000 Poisons from Dong. Dong admitted her lack of knowledge about the tribe's origins, but mentioned their patriarch's decree to shun the outside world and refrain from unnecessary use of their poison magic. Dong's mother examined the outsiders and assured them that the poison had been neutralized, rendering them safe. Encouraging a swift departure, she cautioned about the inhospitable nature of the Cave of 10,000 Poisons residents. Yet, Dong opposed her mother's counsel, advocating for extending hospitality to their guests. She invited the students to unwind and stay as long as they desired. Yu expressed gratitude to the mother and daughter, clarifying their group's brief stay due to poisoning effects. Nonetheless, he couldn't shake his bewilderment over Dong's parents' peculiar conduct. As Dong and her parents prepared to leave, they assured the outsiders of their extended stay. Suddenly, they noticed the vast full moon tinted with crimson, sparking Dong's excitement at the impending full moon night. As we wrap up this chapter, I hope you've enjoyed today's installment. If you did, please please consider hitting the like button to help us reach our goal of 150 likes. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated whenever we release new content. Thank you for watching.